Welcome to the Innovative Mind at Work podcast. My name is Dr. Tanya Knudsen, and I am your host. In this podcast, we're weaving business with creative processes for a new kind of leadership, one that's focused on innovation. This show is about creative leadership. Here, we learn to lean in and lead with a skill set and a mindset for catalyzing change. Let's begin. Welcome to the Innovative Mind at Work Kickoff for Season 1. My name is Dr. Tanya Knudsen, and I am here with Kent Schulter. Welcome, Kent, back again with me. We have had 6 episodes of really rich conversation and transformation, the beginning of a transformation, dare I say, using creative processes at work. And so today in this podcast, we really want to share with you what it is we've been talking about and what you might expect. We're really talking about creative processes for complex problem solving. Now, I just want to start, Kent, by saying, even today, one of my colleagues said to me, well, how is it that this business leader has been open to talking about creativity? Because I mentioned that we have this fear around creativity. We don't really understand it. It's confusing. It's interesting. It's a buzzword. And, she said to me, so, well, why is it that this business leader is curious and open to creativity? Great question. Because I know you've said it kind of scares you, right?
So yeah, the word creativity, the word imagination, the word brainstorming, those were all very scary words to small business or to medium-sized business. They're very out there, like and not direct, not necessarily on task or on point, and so you get afraid of the typical consultant wants to come in and sell you this idea.
Mm-hmm.
You go through the process and you waste a bunch of hours and you really don't bring anything home that was of real great value. And so yeah, those words I admit up
Well,
front really scared me.
yeah, it's a totally valid point. And when my friend asked me this question, she said, well, he might be afraid of that word creativity, but everybody's afraid of this word. Let me tell you, it's not really making any impact in education in a significant way, not significant enough, and certainly not significantly enough in business, which is why we started this podcast, because as a result of our work together has really delivered some incredible changes, what we're going to talk about in this episode as we dig a little bit into people, process, and a proficiency for innovation. So we're going to really look at the 6 episodes that we've hosted together and talk about the people and the process and the proficiency that has resulted in that. But coming back to what my answer was to Ruth's question today was, how is it that this person is open?
I really wasn't open to the word creativity and imagination. What I was open to was, look, you were available to engage a pain point. And so when I said, hey, Tanya, I have this challenge. You didn't take me back to, oh, well, we have a process and we have all this stuff and you can take this class and you can do this. You didn't. You said, tell me about the problem. And so that's how business works. Tell me about the problem. Oh, interesting. Very good. Well, here, get some stickies. Let's start writing. And so you went right to the pain point. I had time to go right to the pain point. I didn't have time. I had a meeting the next day. I didn't have time to take a 6-month course and sign up and send in my dollars and give you my credit card and do all these things and go through this process. You said X amount of dollars, I can teach you X amount of things. Let's do it. I'm prepared for tomorrow, right? I am prepared for tomorrow. Well, even going into it, I didn't know what I was getting, but what I got on the backside, I said, this makes sense. Took the class. This makes sense to me. Okay. I used it one day, next day, I used what I learned, and the response was so different than what I had anticipated.
And you're right. I did not use the word creativity. It's true. I mean, I know from my own experience trying to sell this word, like I'm a creative problem solver. I have a PhD in creative leadership. You know how hard that is to sell. But truly, people don't know what this means. And so I don't sell it that way. I don't say, hey, I'm a facilitator for complex problem solving that uses creative process. But that is in fact actually what I do. And that is in fact actually what I offer to you. Only you're right. I didn't say that. I used different language. And what the language that I used was innovation. And that was really where we first got on to conversation. Now, in our world, creativity precedes innovation. So creativity is the thinking, innovation is the implementation. So I didn't share with you, oh, let's think about creativity, because I understand that kind of freaks people out. But when we talk to business leaders about how might you be more innovative, that I think resonated with you a little bit more.
It does. Innovative still is scary.
Mm-hmm.
But on the backside of that first class, what I learned was really the creativity that I was looking for was the creativity from the team that I was addressing. So all I had to do was to allow, through a process, allow space and direction for their creativity
Mm-hmm.
to be gleaned so that we could problem solve in a manner that was efficient, it was effective, it was quick, it was thorough, it had legs. In other words, what came out of that meeting was a roadmap that led me to a future. And so how did we get that? We got that through creativity. But had you said up front, look, I'm going to tell you how to be creative in your probably my mind would have drifted. I would have said, look, I got a meeting tomorrow. I really don't have time. Thank you very much. Keep my money. I'm off, right?
Well, but thank you for staying open and letting us try something new,
But it was
despite
great.
the fact that it was creativity.
The outcome is then what's led to the follow-up meetings and the follow-up classes is because, yes, I saw something of value. So why is this business owner open to it? One, you went to my pain point first. You didn't sell me a philosophy and a series of classes. You went right to the pain point. And even that, I thought, man, it's expensive for the little bit of pain point help I'm going to get. On the backside, I called you on the next day and I said, thank you very much, because the impact from that meeting was so much different than what I had expected and what I had experienced in the past. That led to further classes and further exposure. And like you said, I'm not even ankle deep in this yet. Right?
Well, we're only just got started.
Yeah,
I mean, it's true. With this first season, really what we've done is we got into a little bit of clarifying the challenges and what's before you. And you learned a couple of tools, but the process of creative problem solving kicks off with diagnosing where are we. And so in the very first episode, I offered you something about where you might find how people can jump in and participate. And I remember from that very first meeting, what was remarkable was that people went from sitting back like this to leaning in. So when people have a behavioral shift like that in one meeting, I mean, we've talked about this many, many times, but that is a real significant point.
Well, and I have to tell you this, I'm not even a fast note taker, right? Like I think I write slow. And so, but with this process, the amount of input I was getting from the people that were directly involved and had great domain knowledge, knew what they were talking about, smart people, I'm taking notes so fast, that I couldn't hardly even decipher my own notes. But it was the involvement that was so spontaneous and I'm going to use your word now, so creative.
Yeah.
Right? Because they were diving into the problem and solving it as I'm taking notes.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that clearly. So let's start with people then, because tell us a little bit about your business. I know you like to describe your business as a family disguised as a business, but just share with us again, sort of, your world and what you do.
So I really have three businesses. I have one that's a steel fabrication company. We build bridges. We build big marine floats, military floats, bridges, sea walls, that kind of stuff. And then I have another business. It's a steel erection company. We erect everything from buildings to military site stuff to you name it. We've probably erected it. And then I have a consulting company as myself, different focus, but more analytical, more legal side consulting. But what I like about this is I can apply it to all of them. It didn't matter which business, because the process, I looked at it and I said, I can get better quality input from clients. I can get better quality input from coworkers, colleagues. I can get better input, better interaction roadmap with my own family. I'm going to tell you a real quick story. I went and had lunch with an extended family member, and I heard on the back door, back way, that my most rigid critic, my son, works for one of the companies, and he had told this extended family member that, look, I don't know exactly what's going on, but this is very helpful. I felt frustrated for years trying to sit and help support where he's going. He's charging bayonets every time we turn around. He's off and running. But he said the difference allowed him to feel less anxiety, peaceful in the approach, but efficient and effective. And so the difference was coming back, I'm getting feedback that says this is working, and it's working in an environment where those that would have resisted and would have been reluctant to engage, and rightfully so, they are very much part of the process go forward. They're very much part of the plan, and very effective in being creative and creating the path.
It is absolutely astounding that after just a few meetings, without sharing anything about what was actually going on, whether it be a change in thinking about people operating or the processes that we're introducing into meetings, but there is a proficiency that's coming through that your own son is noticing. And I remember when we first talked, you said, my son is my biggest critic. Well, I mean, our kids are our biggest critics. And so when they notice something that's different, and they say something, that's significant. I mean, it really truly is. So let's just back up a little bit. There's something around people, and that's what we discovered in these first 6 sessions. We did in episode number 5, and we're just going to jump around a little bit and talk about some of the things that came out of it. But in number 5, we talked about foresight, which is a measurable for our problem-solving style. And that led us to, how do you charge bayonets? Naturally. And naturally, we need to pause in problem solving, because charging bayonets is a sign of implementation. Let's just get it done. But then what are we actually getting done? And I think that might be the frustration that your son is experiencing, that, you know, he's going this way when really maybe we could go that way. So, but that speaks to how people show up as problem solvers. And we know, just like as we can have a personality assessment is very popular, but certainly we can have an assessment for our problem solving style. And I think once your problem solving preference was made clear to you, it became more apparent. Do you want to comment on that?
So yeah, you actually gave me an assessment, and I didn't really appreciate the assessment at the time. So I'm an implementer. What does that mean?
Yeah.
But as we got into it, and as we used the process, and I said, wow, so that's a clarifier. Oh, so that's a developer, and that's an ideator, and here I am, the implementer, you know, charging bayonets before I even know where the enemy's at. So then understanding that, it allowed them the space to be creative, to be confident, to problem solve without the anxiety of, you know, somebody running ahead and going off on the wrong trail and going off on the wrong track. It allowed that team to come together, and I got way better solutions than I would have come up on my own, but I got legs in that solution, right? And so it's just a different way. Pause, consider. You you I think you used the word, um, the quality of the interaction is the quality of the outcome. And I think that's really, really true in this process is the quality of that interaction
Mhm.
really allowed me to have a quality outcome. And a lot of these problems aren't you meet once and it's solved and it's done and you're off and running again in it. But what it is you even realize, great, this meeting, 1 hour, we clarified the problem. Next meeting, okay, now we know the problem. What are all the ideas? And man, this group that clarified, maybe one guy's going to sit kind of quiet, but the guys that got some ideas, and that's their natural tendency to be an ideator,
Mhm.
they start leaping up and they got ideas. One of the things on one of those meetings, I have to say, we got to that ideator stage, and one of the engineers threw out an idea,
Mhm.
and it was a great idea. Well, old Kent, bam, we're off and running. Look, we got an idea here.
Oh, you
This is
would run with
great.
it?
Oh yeah, done.
Mhm.
Meeting's done. We got an idea. Everybody agree. Let's go. And and but one other engineer said, oh, and we could, and all of a sudden the great idea was even a better idea,
Mhm.
and it was more rounded, it was more thorough.
Mhm.
And you look down the table and all the heads are going, yeah, it's a great idea. And so what I got, quality of the interaction, was a quality outcome.
Wow.
And so the benefit of the process is what has now removed some of the fear about the word creativity. The quality of that process, now I look back and say, well, you call it creativity, which I can see it is.
Mhm.
Um, but really, I look at it and say it's the process that gets that quality. And yes, it allows space for people to be creative and to build in their own environment with their own thinking skills.
Yeah, and so, to sort of restate, creativity is a hard word to understand. There's no question about it. Are hundreds of definitions. Some scholars have multiple definitions just from their own perspective. So, but to be clear, what we're talking about in this instance is process. The process of affecting change. How might that come about deliberately? So we're kind of meshing understanding that people think differently in problem solving. That's one part. And then we marry that with the processes of creativity, creative problem solving itself. And we introduced a number of tools that are in the beginning of the process of clarifying the challenge. So we really just dipped our toe in these first 6 episodes with some of the tools that we use in clarifying. We did have a couple of others, but clarifying what's our vision, number one. Well, we start there, but then what's in the way of that, and how then might we get there? That's stuff that we didn't even actually really get to. But I'm curious, what are some of the things that stood out for you? When we think back, because I really want to hear from you.
Yeah. So two things. Yeah, we had a series of meetings, and what I found out is that I tended to use what I learned
Mhm.
readily, easily, quickly, efficiently. I wasn't confused. Um, and so it was an easy process for my brain to run, and it wasn't offensive, it wasn't rigid.
Mhm.
It just flowed naturally.
Well, I
um,
just want to add right there, because creativity is natural, it flows, it's flexible, and it's meant to be that way. You can use it on a dime, and then you can just drop it and go back into something else. So I just want to share that, to be clear that it's, truly it's a language and it's a way of thinking, just like we can use formal language when we're in business and playful language when maybe with our kids. It really is that.
what I saw, though, was people being creative in a process that allowed for that creativity to bring forth great answers, right? And great solutions and great energy. And so, was that, so again, if you had to unpack the word creativity, I think that's hard to do, but but creativity is what I saw. They created solutions.
Mhm.
Creativity, they created solutions by building on the energy they had as a team.
Yes, I remember in episode number 4, we looked at one of the tools, kind of future casting. It would be great if, remember? And I remember you saying, well, now you're hearing their ideas and they're sharing from their heart. I mean, how many people in a business meeting share from their heart? I mean, a few for sure, but I don't know that
But
you as a leader would
rule,
come out and say, oh, wow, these guys are just giving it to me straight. I mean, this is really incredible. So,
as I said, and we were talking about people coming with their heart. Wouldn't it be great if, when you have that discussion, and you're going back to creativity and you're going back to imagination, they're looking at their future. Wouldn't it be great if the company did this? Wouldn't it be great if the company was able to do this? Wouldn't it be great if the company was known as the go-to bridge builder? Wouldn't it be great if we built bridges in Madagascar for undeveloped areas? There's so much that comes out of what people value. Wouldn't it be great if? And so what it is it's a benefit for the company. It's a benefit for them. They don't forget themselves when it says, when we say, wouldn't it be great if? So they're sharing from their heart, because it'd be great if I made $1 million a year, but it would also be great if the company did X and X and X and so, I would probably sacrifice that $1 million a year if we joined the community and we helped grow, whatever it is. People bring, wouldn't it be great if, and it surprises you what it was, right?
Well, and that's just an example of one of the tools we used. I mean, we use tools actually in each of the episodes. We talked about different tools, again, right at that beginning stage.
And one of my favorites.
Which one?
Was PPCO, you called it, right?
PPCO.
That was a great.
That is a really, truly, that is, if you're going to learn one tool, that would truly be it. PPCO.
Well, I would say 2 things.
What?
Understanding how people problem solve in their head. You had the 4 boxes, so that's very helpful to know. But this PPCO, why that was so good for me, it takes all the finger pointing out of problem solving. It allows for harmony as you build the roadmap. And it was especially important to me. We'd sold this company to 2 guys that are great guys, smart guys, Navy SEALs. So, but they're new to our family. Family disguises a business. They're new to our family. That's one. Number 2 is their personalities are very different. One's kind of quiet and very smart guy, and when you talk to him, you say, "Wow, that guy is thinking." The other one's much more vocal, also smart, but is a little bit more, readily available to read, right? He's going to say it. And so, but what I got out of that PCO process was I was able to communicate with them, and all I had to do was say, "Look, give me a half hour of your time, undivided attention. Let me explain something to you that I've been thinking." And I said, I paid good money, my own personal money, to take a class. Let me share it. Well, so they honored that. Okay, you spent your money. Okay, well, let me listen to this. And the impact was profound. One guy grabbed the time I'm done, he's grabbing the sticky off the board and says, "Man, this is powerful. It's about the people." And that was the message that I got when I was doing the process with you. I said, "Wow, it's about the people."
Well, that happened when we had our visioning session.
Correct.
That was
but
separate.
Didn't we use the PPCO for the visioning?
We did.
Yeah.
For part
of it, because we said, these are all the pluses of that business. And then here's all the potentials for that business. And we outlined a lot of different things that this company could grow towards. And then we said, here's some of the concerns. And those concerns were easy to address when you already saw the pluses of the company. And when you saw the potentials of the company, you saw the concerns and said, well, those are easy obstacles at that point. And then how are we going to overcome them? Well, that may take another class. That may take another session with these Navy SEALs to know exactly how we're going to overcome all these things. But what we did is we said, here's our platform. Here's all the pluses. We're not afraid. Look at this platform. And then here's the potential. Wow, we're halfway down that road already. We're already drifting that way. And those are the potentials that we see. Oh, here's our areas of concern. Whoa, this is about the people, isn't it? We have to keep this team together. And, if we would have shared that with everybody in the office, had they heard that owner say, it's about the people, you know what? Everybody in that room would have said, what you just said means I'm committed to this company. Because when you say it's about the people, it changes what we do as leaders. It's about our team. If we're going to have success, we're going to hit these potentials, it's about the people. Everybody in the company, had they heard that, they would have said, I'm in. This company, we're building it. We're going.
The thing that I really like about this conversation is that it's one thing to say it's about the people. Of course, that's easy to say. It's about the people. All you guys matter.
But it's
another thing when somebody feels it and they take that sticky off and they see it for themselves. So what I think this offers is when we afford people to be who they are as problem solvers and give them space, and bring in a process that really allows for, as you said in many of the episodes, this horizontalization in the environment, that people feel safe and encouraged and motivated to contribute wherever they are in whatever meeting. Now you are becoming more proficient in letting the unforeseen emerge. And that's really what creativity is affording the space for different thinking to come forward based on where you are in the problem. And the tools that we used in each of these meetings relate to where you are in the problem. So my question really to you, and before I answer...
But let me go one more step back.
Okay, go ahead.
Though. So yes, any business could say it's about the people. So what's different about this is we went through a process and said, this is look at all the pluses of this platform. And there's maybe 50 of them that we had written down, right? So we had already analyzed the platform, and then we had analyzed the future. So this wasn't just us saying it's about the people. We had already looked at the platform. We had already looked at all the pluses. We'd already looked at all the potentials. So we could have said, it's about AI, isn't it? We could have said, it's about equipment, or it's about CNC. It's about
whatever
technology, right? We could have said any of those things. We didn't. After we understood the platform, then we said it's about the people. So we said it after we were educated, evaluating the platform. And so I think that's the difference. It wasn't just words. It was feeling, it was heart, it was gut, it was this. And just what he said, this is profound. This is powerful.
I mean, it's really significant. And I just want to offer, I know unpacking creativity is a challenge in and of itself, which is why we're hosting a brainstorming session to unpack creativity and how does it relate to business. So we will certainly report that back. But my question really to you now is, having learned a little bit about how people show up as problem solvers, having seen your team become physically different in their interaction with each other, and then to marry that with processes, now a number of times, and each of these episodes speaks to the different tools and the processes that we've used in some of your meetings. What shows up for you as a proficiency? What is it that you're noticing that you said, you know what, I don't necessarily still understand what creativity is, and I'm curious for more, because why?
Well, because the effectiveness of the process is so immediately discernible that when I walk out of the meeting, I say, wow, okay, that worked. And so when I can walk out of a meeting and say, wow, that worked, then now I'm curious, right? What else do you have to show me? What else can I learn? The other thing, I think that, so now I'm kind of in your camp, right? Now all of a sudden you're teaching me about creativity, and I'm still afraid of the word, but now I have some experience touching it, and I'm saying, wow, this works.
And your son said, I don't know what it is, but it also is working. So,
okay,
you have a kind of a testimonial now, your own testimonial.
That's right. And I have some meetings with some smart guys that have said, wow, that's powerful. And so now I kind of in your camp. Now I have to look at the guys that I sold the company to, and I got to say, how can I help my company engage this process? So we right now are in kind of an environmental change, right? In the way we do business. Um, and everybody in the world is becoming more and more specialized. And yes, we build bridges. Yes, we build sign bridges. Yes, we build seawalls. Yes, we build stuff, right? And occasionally we build a building. That's not really what we do for the most part, but occasionally we do. But as we do this, it's becoming more and more and more specialized. And so in our world, design build is becoming where it used to be what's called hard bid. For you guys that are in the construction industry, you'll know what that means. It used to be all hard bid, low bid, and now it's becoming more and more best value, design build, which changes the language we need to use to partner with these cities, with the federal government, with general contractors on how to process what we build. How do we get a bridge built that the city's going to like, and the county's going to love, and the parks department's going to benefit for years and years? How do we get that expressed and to the market? Well, we have to change the way we communicate. We also have to change the way we think. So where before they sent us a picture, this is exactly what we want, this is the size of the members that you should use, you should weld it like this, all we have to do is follow the diagrams. Now we may get a written directive with a hand sketch. Hey, we're thinking something like this. What do you guys think? And so now it's a different process. So now we have to meet their budget. We have to meet their spans and their loads. We have to meet their reactions for their footings, what they have. And we have to change the way we communicate. So what's so great about this process, and why am I so anxious to try to get it into my old company that I sold to help them move forward? So the old company I sold, understand, it's still my baby, right? Still, those are still my people. And that's still my family, right? Yes, I sold it. And 2 new owners, and they're great guys. I take nothing back from that. And I'm unfortunate that they bought it. But I still have a lot of concern, right? Still, that's my child. I'm turning it over to them. I want them to be wildly successful. I want them to love it like I loved it. So how do I bring to them this gift of creativity that you talk about, this word creativity? How do I bring it to them in a way that they can grasp it and use it like I did? And all my colleagues, because they're going through a change in environmental process in order to meet the new challenges of how we do work, they need new tools. They need to engage their customers, my customers, their customers as project managers. They need to engage with different words, with different processes. And this will help them. They will look at it and say, this is my time not to use the language from my old days, to use this new process to gain information, to gain understanding, to gain clarity, to create partnerships with these people that need our services. But we're gonna grow through creating those partnerships, and we're gonna have to change our language. So now I'm kind of on your side. I've got to bring it into my old company and say, please don't be afraid of creativity. Don't be afraid of this process. It's really going to help our team. It's going to help our senior estimators, our senior project managers, our engineers. It's going to help all of those people understand how their clients think, how their clients are processing the problems, the process of clarifying the challenge, and then ideating with the customer. I mean, it's just going to change the way we do business.
Well,
and so how do I get that into my new company? Now I'm saying, okay, and I'm not so afraid of creativity because I see the outcome. How do I convince, the new owners that, hey, this is worth investing money in? And when a Navy SEAL, which has probably seen a lot of things that I don't want to see in life, if he says, this is powerful, this is about the people, those are his words, right?
Yeah.
And so when that's the takeaway, what I have to do is I have to get it to the rest of my colleagues in a form and a fashion that they can understand. And so that's why I think the way for us to do this is through, an engagement of your process and this is what this podcast
Well,
is
that's
about,
why we
is
got started on this.
unpacking the creativity and how do we get it out there into business? Doesn't scare everybody to death, because it scared me. But now I see the benefit.
Yeah, and again, we only just scratched the surface. So, I mean, already I remember in episode 3, you talked about this being a competitive advantage because people were actively involved, everybody's engaged, people are contributing on their own without even being prompted outside of the meeting as a result of the meeting. And that now what you sense is building a toolbox for engaging the team, and that the team is actually acting on its own without your guidance necessarily. So I guess.
But how much better would they if they knew the tools themselves?
Well, exactly.
Because I can't be in every meeting they're going to be in. I can't engage with all of their clients. And so if each project manager, let's say they have 10 clients at any given time, right? That they're working with building something. If each project manager has 10 clients, well, of course, I can't be in every meeting, so I can't guide everyone. So they need to have control of the process,
yes,
so that they have the same tool set.
Well, I would offer to you that creativity, as I think you're experiencing, it's a language, it's a toolbox, it's a way of thinking, and it's a way of interacting such that we are driving change. And we don't know what that outcome is going to be. That's the beauty of it, because of course our imagination is unlimited. I mean, every single thing that is in existence now was imagined over the course of imagining it into its realization. So Kent, people, process, and proficiency. So you're kind of more on the side of creativity. Might be
certainly now, but it took a while, right?
Yeah,
and of course,
but not that long. Let's be clear.
Well,
6 meetings.
Yeah, 6 meetings, but I'm still wary of the word, right? So what I keep running back to process, right? As a small business, I keep running back to process. I'm very comfortable with process, right? You talk to me about process, I'm all ears.
Well,
right?
creativity, well, it's so we can categorize creativity in different ways. We talk about creative personalities, creative environments, that's press, creative product, which is the most popular that we're aware of, new stuff everywhere. But then we also talk about creative process. And this, what I'm bringing forward and what we're talking about in this process is the creative process itself. How might we know where we are in a problem, and how might we use tools and language and skills to move forward in the problem, leveraging the people, how they think as problem solvers, and engaging all of these things.
And then to tie it back to your last word, proficiency.
Yeah.
So that's what's interesting. Businesses hate the idea of thinking outside the box, brainstorming, because it's not proficient, it's not efficient.
It is.
It is, but it
doesn't
seems
seem like
you're out there chasing the stars in the sky, right? But what you find on the backside after a 1-hour meeting is you have a roadmap, you have some clarity, you have some direction. You got all this information from people that were ideating, that were comfortable, no anxiety in that process. You got what you needed, and you did it through a process. So was it efficient? Yeah. Was it proficient? Absolutely. But had you told, no, you have told me, and I said, I'm scared to death. When you told me, hey, you're going to be creative and you're going to be proficient at the same time, I would have said, oh, yeah, great, right? That's not going to happen, right?
Well,
I'm going to sacrifice one or the other. But that's not been the truth, right? The truth has been, so what it's led to, this creative process has led to a proficiency in my team. I can't say it any other way.
Yeah, I mean, it's powerful. Kent, thanks so much for really.
Well, Tanya, it's been great, and I realize I'm not even ankle deep. I get that, right?
That's okay though. Look at the effect that's happened. I mean, this is the beauty of it.
It is, and so here's to the future.
Yeah,
I really think there's value in moving forward. I think there's great advantage in the process, and you mentioned just that it could be a benefit, a competitive advantage for our company. And I think it's true, because if we're leaders in that process and we're earning clients through a process where the client feels less anxiety,
Mhm.
feels comfortable with the way we're going at the
Mhm.
business, feels comfortable with us as the partner, then we do have an advantage. We have a competitive advantage. How did we get it? Simply by being creative in our process. Simple as that.
Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Kicking off season 1, a business leader who's kind of into creativity, but still a little afraid, but he's open and he's got some results. Thanks, everybody, for listening, and we will see you online. The Innovative Mind at Work. Thank you.
Thank you, Tanya.
You're welcome. The Innovative Mind at Work podcast is sponsored by Vision Music Live, your source for music lessons and live performances in downtown Kirkland, Washington. Thanks for listening. For more information, check out theinnovativemindatwork.com. See you soon.